This is the water view site. It's pretty hard to see any because of the obviously the scaffolding, but it is rising slowly. Not sure what level they're up to. Probably 4 or something in the podium, and then the tower will go on top. I'll move on to the next job. I don't know if I can get any other angles on this one. Here's a bit of another angle of the water view site. I've sort of been a bit over the place with this update. I didn't start at Newcastle West. I sort of come here first and then went back to Newcastle West because I went and got something to eat. I was pretty hungry, so I sort of backtracked and I thought I'll get a second angle of this. I'm assuming the height's roughly the top of the crane. I don't know if they're going to climb the crane because they haven't put a climbing frame on it yet, if they are going to climb higher. Anyway, I've got concrete pump, placement pump on the core. Bit hard to see because of the scaffolding, so yeah. I'm not sure how whether they're going to use scaffolding all the way up on the podium, after the podium, or not. Anyway, I'll move on to the next job. This side across from the one apartments. Don't know when demolition's going to start, but apparently it's not far off. They're starting to do some core sampling, like earth, geotechnical stuff. And I think one's apartments, and then on this corner is an office tower. So this one will be starting, as soon as they do demolition, I suppose it'll start. So this is going to be one of the next mega projects in Newcastle. Another 2 tower project. There's a lot of them. I'll move on to the next one. Bit of an angle of the store residence. I think it's 23 or 24 level in the core. Bit fucking noisy, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah, so I think it's about 24 that's in the core. And yeah, so I think it's about nine stories to go. 8 or 9. Because I think it's 31 or 32. Depends, because the plant room on the top might be classed as an extra story. Just depends on what databases you use. I'll zoom back out. I'll get another shot from over further closer. There's another site here that there is a DA on it, but it's been approved. But I'm thinking that they might land bank it. Be good if they do, because that whole corner, it'd be a pretty decent site to build on, actually. Because I think there's a 90-metre height limit on that site, but the building that's been approved doesn't hit that height limit on the site. So yeah, I'm not too sure when that's starting, if it's going to start. But they did the demo last year, and then I thought they might have started it, but it hasn't started yet. So yeah, they'll probably just, I don't know, I'd land bank it and wait for, and get the whole corner. Because height limits seem to be going higher in Newcastle anyway. So the west, some sites in the Newcastle West is about 90 metres, but all these towers, like the store and the dairy farmers and a few others, have already exceeded that height anyway with their proposals. So I'll move into a better spot. Here's another angle. A bit quieter here. I think they'd have to be Newcastle's tallest at the moment, almost. a bit close. The core definitely would be, the top of the core. There's the dairy farmer's side up there. At least the sun's not out a bit. The sun was out before, but at least I can film this spot. I don't mind the look of the brickwork, looks nice on the podium levels. I think that's where the office component is, by the looks of it. Well, I'm going to move on to the next site. Well, here's the third angle of the store residence. I wasn't going to get it, but I thought, oh, this is not a bad spot actually, so I thought I'd get it. So I wonder if these got proposed today, they would probably have been built taller. These were approved a little while ago. I'm surprised they didn't try and modify the DA mid-construction and sneak a few extra floors on top. But anyway, I'll move on to the next one. Another prominent site, the Cambridge site. I wasn't going to film this one, but they've actually started some internal strip out on the bottom floor. You just can't see it. I don't think I can get an angle from the other side either. It's all pretty much boarded up. They've put a bit of a timber fence up, ply fence up. So yeah, this is another project, but it's been a bit slow. When the Cambridge closed, there was a development proposal from another company, another developer, and it fell through. So I don't know why, but I think it was actually, I think it was going to be student accommodation, but don't quote me on that. So I'll move on to the next one if I can't get another angle. Another angle that Cambridge you can't see, but I'm thinking that, I'm not sure, I'd have to double check through all the documents, but it's a bit hard now. Newcastle City Council have changed their website around a bit for their DAs, and it's a bit hard to find the documents for all these proposals, the ones that go through council anyway. So they're doing geo work on this site. This site was demolished last year, mid last year or something at some point, and I'm not sure if it's actually part of the whole site of the Cambridge or whether it's its own separate site. I don't know, but yeah, it'd be pretty good if it was one big site, because there's still all that there as well. I'd have to check through the DAs and stuff, but and then I'll know. But yeah, like I said, it's a bit hard to see all that stuff now through the website, Newcastle City Council website. Yeah. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one. Got another demo site in Hunter Street. It's pretty much across from Dairy Farmers Towers. I'm just in the back street. So I've got 3 excavators. One's got a pretty large boom on it. Or not very big, but it's bigger than normal. So we've got 2 sites here, and then this one's being grouted. And I think it's been approved too, the building that's going to go on it. There was approval for another building a few years ago, but that kind of fell through as well. A bit like the Cambridge site. I did come past there before. I did get a bit of footage around the other side of the Cambridge site. They're doing the internal strip out, and they're doing a bit of geotechnical work at the back of the site, which is a bit hard to see because of the fence. So this one's being grouted. I'll see if I can get another angle on the other side of the road, and then this one on the main drag of Hunter Street's being demoed. I'll see if I can get some other angles. Here's a bit of a close-up of that same site. got some scaffolding cantilevered on the side of that, so they'll have to pull that top wall down before they do too much more, I guess. Well, I'm going to move on to the next one. So the bottom of the core of the Dairy Farmers Tower site's level 14, not in one tower, in the shorter one. So I think that one, I can't remember how tall that one was going to be. The other one was going to be about 28, 29 stories, I think. Roughly around that 30-story mark. I think the other one was a little bit shorter. Well, I'll move on to the next site. This is the Dairy Farmers Towers site. I feel like the wind's picked up now. Bloody pain in the ass. So I've got 16 on that, right at the bottom of the core box on that one, and 14 on the other one. So about halfway. So and then I think the floors would be what? Maybe 10 and 12 or something. The bottom is starting to, the look is starting to show at the bottom of the tower now as they raise the what do you call that? Like the protective screen as it raises up. It'll reveal what's down the bottom. We've got a concrete pump on site. I think that corner will be filled in at some point with more podium, I think. It's just that they're using that for a bit of access for the site. It's a shame they didn't make provisions through the site for the light rail, but that'll go around the back and come up. I think it'll come up that street, or I don't know what they'll do with that. But that's another story. Anyway, I'll only get one view of this site because yeah. Oh no, I'll get another one. I'll cross that. Oh no, that'll do. Because I'm not going back that way. I'm going over that way over the back there. So I've done them in a different order today. Anyway, I'll move on to the next job. This site's the autobiography site. I think this is going to be the best angle I can get on this one. They're doing the piling pad and stuff. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, so this one's been had a few different proposals over the years. It seems to be yeah, one of those sites that has had bad luck, but it's all go from here now. I did notice on the Housing Authority site, New South Wales government, that they were going to get extra height, add extra floors to this, but been told that they're not going down that path for some reason, so I thought they might have wanted the extra you know, extra height. That was just a train behind me. I'm at the Newcastle interchange. So this is probably the best angle. I'll see if I can get one down there, but it's highly unlikely without being too obtrusive, I guess. So just, yeah, so they're just doing a flat base, hard base for piling to start, which I don't know, that'll probably start any week now. I'll probably, now on my luck, the piling rig will show up tomorrow. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one. Not the best angle, but this is the bowline site that was abandoned for a while. There's a bit of movement on site. There is a proposal through the Development Housing Authority and Urban Property have taken over the site. They've put in new site offices, so I'm waiting to see what's going to happen here, because there is talk of it being 43 stories, which would be nice actually. But no, in Newcastle it'll get dumbed down to about 30, 39. So there's a couple of proposals. So the tallest one is going to be 43 floors, and that will be the tallest in Newcastle. And yeah, and it's going to be a round cylinder sort of style tower. with social housing in it, and it might have a hotel component as well, and obviously residential. It's the perfect site for it. It's actually a waste of a site if they do anything lower than, say, 40 floors, in my opinion. So yeah, I reckon it should push up a bit higher than I'd be happy with 50 on this site. Anyway, I'll move on to the next job. This is a site that's coming soon, Honeysuckle HQ. It's going to be pretty extravagant. Sorry about the noise, I'm just doing a bit of filming. I'll film the whole site. So it's that side. The interchange is just next to me. So it'll take over the whole site here to the harbour. Can just pan around a bit more. There is going to be a park or something left there, I'm pretty certain. So yeah, sorry about the wind. I'll keep you posted on this one as it happens, but it's been on the cards for a little while. I probably won't be too much this year on it, maybe towards the end of the year, I don't know. I'd like to find out what the timeline is for this, but might have to actually send off some emails maybe. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one. This is the accommodation building for the University of Newcastle. I'll get an angle from the back as well. It's going up pretty quick. I suppose it is all tilt panel concrete, and then just a concrete floor, so they go up pretty quick. Yeah, I'll get a view from another angle. Just the back angle of the university student accommodation building. Up to level 4. It might be level 5 actually. It does say it on the gates at each level for the hoist, but yeah, it's quite a chunky crane, that one. Well, I'm going to move on to the next site. Looks like Jerry Schwartz just made the deadline for the DA to lapse on the post office restoration. She is in a bit of a bad state, eh? So we've got some scaffolding happening. It's dragged on a bit, but there was a proposal a few years ago to keep this and then build something above it, but people didn't really like that idea, so they ended up with prolonging the restoration of this project. The residents did it. It could have been done years ago, so you didn't whinge. Quick video on the Sovereign Park site. This will be very short. I'm sort of in the roadway. There's no room to do any other filming. Well, that's it for this one. I might get one from down the bottom, but the road's actually closed, so I'll see how close I can get for another shot. Here's another angle of the Sovereign Park side. It's pretty big, and I can't go any further because the road's closed. They're doing some drainage works or something across the road, so they've got the road shut. Yeah, and from up there it was a bit hard to see what's going on down this end, because this end's going to have the townhouses, but it looks like they're doing a big hole. I don't know. That's about as close as I get. I can see if I can get a bit closer, but if not, I'll move on to the next one. I'll add this little bit in too. That's about as close as I'll get. So this might be part of it. It most likely is. They're doing some drainage and stuff. So, that's why the road's closed. just digging in there. So as far as I'm aware, they were going to be townhouses, but I'm not too sure if that's another crane pad they're putting in, or I don't know. I don't think it is, but yeah. Well, that crane can't reach really, can it? Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next one. This is the Era apartment site. We have a crane base being formed up. So I wonder when that'll get put in. It'll probably within a few weeks, maybe. Looks like they're at the bottom of the basement hole for this end of the site. It's actually quite sandy, the soil down there. It's like the beach. It's got a few different coloured layers in the sand as well, if you look over there. So they're at the bottom over there. I don't know what he's doing there. He's making some sort of pad. We've got a little dozer on site. And he's just... the dozer's just pushing the stuff up towards the excavator, and he's loading up the trucks. Quite a bit of cost to get to a stage like this, you know. The amount of hours excavation for a basement. What happens down in the future when I know there will be less cars, you know, not that there will be, but you know, basements might become obsolete, at least when they do podium parking. At least if there's less cars or something, or more people use public transport or whatever, they can turn those levels into other things as they're above ground. No, I was just talking shit there. That'll never happen. Cars will be here forever. Yeah, so next to me is the next club, NEX club. So I'm just standing on a pad here. They got a bit of, so that's the club there. There is talk of actually a building above the club at some stage. I saw something somewhere. It might have been a state significant development to put apartments above the club, but I'm not sure whether they'll go above or whether the club will get knocked down and rebuilt or what. Anyway, I'll wrap this video up on this job. I think that's the last job. There's a few other little things that I'll tack on to the end of this video, and I'll see you next time. I've got to do Gosford, but if I don't do it this week, it'll be next week. Alright, see you later. So I'm just in Wickham here. This side of the road, and then this side on this side of the road. Sorry about it, went too quick. So this has still got tenants in it, obviously. I'm not too sure what that was. I think this was like there was a building here, but they've remediated the site. I think it was like a lubricant distributor or something back in the day. So this site and the one on behind me have actually, if you go onto the New South Wales planning website, I think it is, or New South Wales, one of those government websites that has the housing development authority section in it. This site and the one behind me have hit the criteria for a state significant development, which means that the developments on these two sites will be out of council hands. The Bowline site next to the interchange has actually done the same thing, so there will be more to come on that one as well. But last I heard it was going to be about 43 stories. These ones are going to push up over 30, I think, from what the very little information we have. The autobiography site was another one that got approved for that, but I don't think they're going down that path from what I've been told, which is a bit weird. There's multiple sites in Newcastle actually that have had this declaration put on them. yeah, so I'll probably do another video down the tracks on a bit more, with a bit more information on it, maybe. Yeah, so this is just a little add-on that I'll put at the end of the video of the projects. I'll move on to the next job.